Okay, so I have some pretty depressing news regarding a figure that I didn't think I'd have to discuss ever again. So she goes by the name of Neera Tanden, and she has been named as Biden's staff secretary. She's been working as a senior advisor to Biden since about May, I guess. And so this is an NBC article that basically tells you a little bit of the ins and outs of this. So Neera Tanden, the former president of the Center for American Progress, whose nomination as White House budget director was pulled earlier this year because she's terrible, has been named President Joe Biden's staff secretary, a White House official confirmed Friday. Tanden has been working in the White House since May as a senior advisor to the president. Her added responsibility as the staff secretary is to control the flow of documents to Biden and other senior staff. Now, this article goes on to point out that Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh is a former staff secretary. So was John Podesta, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, by the way, she's replacing Miss Jessica Hertz, who left or whatever. This is bad. This is terrible. Why? Because Neera Tanden is a terrible person. If you don't, well, I'll just give you a little bit of backstory. So she was voted or nominated as the OMB person, but as I just read in the article, her nomination was withdrawn because so many people were against it. You know, she wasn't going to have the votes. Republicans and Democrats alike were against that. You want to know why? Because she made too many fucking enemies. You know, I mean, people on both sides of the aisle didn't like her. I mean, she was completely awful. You know, and one of the reasons that, or the main reason that the Republicans didn't like her wasn't because she's insanely corrupt, as she is. It's because she had some former mean tweets about certain Republican politicians and Bernie Sanders himself. She had some awful remarks about Bernie, but I'm going to get into who she is, just give you a little bit of a rundown of her record. She's done a lot of bad shit, so this isn't all of it. But I'll just inform you on Biden's new staff secretary here, just in case you're unaware. So in 2008, she punched one of her employees. So she's the former head of CAP, the Centers for American Progress, which is a liberal think tank, okay? So she punched one of her employees in 2008 who was a reporter after he asked Hillary Clinton about her support for the Iraq war. Wow. Oh, I failed to mention, she's a huge Hillary Clinton supporter, one of Hillary's most devout, ardent followers. I mean, worships Hillary to death, loves her. I mean, she just punched a guy for asking her about her Iraq war vote and her support for the war in Iraq. Look at that. She said, so when the U.S. was on a bombing campaign, when we were bombing the shit out of Libya back in 2011, Neera Tanden suggested that the U.S. steal Libya's oil as a way of reducing the U.S. deficit. Wow. What a great person. She's insanely corrupt. When she was the head of CAP, the Center for American Progress, she took millions of dollars from the UAE. She also took massive donations from Facebook, Google, Microsoft, JP Morgan, and Bloomberg. Yeah. She urged cuts to Social Security. She was probably the biggest Russiagator of all time. Once again, she's one of Hillary Clinton's most loyal followers. What came after Hillary lost? Russiagate. Blame the whole election lost on Russia. I think she said 3 states had 70,000 votes siphoned because of Russia. It was some nonsense. I mean, one of the biggest Russia conspiracy theorists in the game. And needless to say, and this is just to put the cherry on top, she is no ally of the left. She hates the left. She hates Bernie Sanders. Once again, she's Hillary Clinton's most loyal follower, okay? She, needless to say, she opposes Medicare for all. I mean, the things that she had to say about Senator Bernie Sanders. And I remember during her hearings for OMB, okay? Because I made a video about this a while back. And I was watching her hearings. And even some of the Republican, I think it was a Republican senator, because, they're all colleagues, at the end of the day. He asked her about the remarks that she had to say about Bernie, which I can't really remember. I hate the fact that I'm blanking on it. But it was something extremely disrespectful, of course. And he asked her, and she's like, well, why'd you say that? Do you still think these things? Bernie's his colleague or whatever. but I mean, she's just a bad person, and this is who is in Biden's administration, and this isn't the only bad, awful individual in Biden's administration. I mean, Biden's not, he's no angel himself. He's terrible, but I just wanted to provide a little information, if I could, as to who is his new staff secretary. I knew she was going to claw her way up somehow. I mean, it seems like the most evil and corrupt individuals always find a way to, make a way for themselves in Washington. That's like the easiest place for them to do it, because Washington itself is the swamp. It's the place where the most corrupt, awful, evil, vile individuals, bathe in their own corruption. I mean, it's what it is. But this is Neera Tanden securing herself a spot as staff secretary in Biden's administration.